This is the Backlog Exposed podcast with Kevin Lane and Joel Rubel, bringing you weekly discussions on gaming as well as quick insights into sports, entertainment, and anything else that they can think of. Be sure to check out the backlogexposed.com, where you can listen to the podcast and get links to Twitter, Discord, YouTube, and Facebook.
I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And we are
The Backlog
Exposed. Yeah!
Now, gear up and get ready because this backlog is about to be exposed.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's was this May 5th already? Episode 53 of the Backlog Pod. Got my main man Kevin.
Hey-o!
And we got a few things to go over today. Got a couple games we're going to be reviewing, or I got a couple games that we're going to go over, but one of the hot topics we're going to go over to is World War Z. I'm going to talk about The Crew 2 a little bit. I've been playing that more, me and my son. Talking about Borderlands Game of the Year a little bit more because I'm pretty much almost done with it. And then I'm going to jump over to start playing Borderlands 2, gearing up for Borderlands 3. And then I have some new information about that game due to the fact that they just launched a new event and we actually got to see live actual multiplayer, the loot system that's coming up and all sorts of things. But we'll get into that as it rolls along. But Kevin, let's talk about this World War Z game we got.
Yeah, so Joe and I were able to snag a review copy of World War Z. Okay, and if you're not familiar, World War Z is a game based off of a movie, but it's just a loose tie-in, really. The game itself is your run-of-the-mill zombie shooter type game that you see these days. They have a couple different modes between just a co-op mode and a multiplayer mode, and where the World War Z comes in is that a lot of these games that you play that have zombies in them, they just don't know how to do the zombie horde very well. And it's kind of ironic, Joe, because Days Gone came out around the same exact time as World War Z. Both games have been anticipated for quite some time. Both games are drastically different in the sense that one's a one-player, world-based story, open world story mission critical type thing. And the other one is either a multiplayer, third-person Call of Duty-esque game with some zombies. I say Call of Duty-esque because it's not in that sense, but it gives you the idea. There's domination and team deathmatch and things like that. And then there's the co-op mode, which Joe and I haven't yet played together, but I have dabbled a little bit so far. And so, Joe, what tell the audience a little bit about not your impressions yet, but what the foundation of this multiplayer and the different modes that you've seen in the class system and all that.
So yeah, you log on. Basically, the what I do like though is the fact that the adding a friend or inviting a friend is very, very simple. It's literally hit triangle and then invite your friend. That impressed me because a lot of these games are, you got to go to different menus and all that. But anyway, the gameplay, you have co-op, like you said, multiplayer, but inside of multiplayer, you have team deathmatch, you have domination. There's like 6 or 7 other different variations that we haven't even touched yet. But
yeah, like a King of the Hill.
Yeah, there's a King of the Hill, like almost like Capture the Flag. And there's one
where
called
it's virus or stop the virus or get the
don't have a vaccine or something like that, where you basically hold on to the vaccine the longest and the team gets whatever, that's how they win. But they did a lot of, I think, their think tank did a lot of work on the different variations of multiplayer, because it is pretty fun. I did have a good time with it, but there is quite a bit of I wouldn't say bugs, but issues that need to be worked out for sure.
Yeah, to point that out, and Joe will definitely back me up on this one. I think while we were playing, I just kind of referred to it as feeling like you're underwater a little bit. Even when you put the sensitivity as high as you can, the turning, there's something to be desired. Like there's a bit of oomph that you have to do to turn. Just to like, there's a guy behind you. You want to turn around like as quick as a whip to get him. But by the time you can even turn your body at the highest sensitivity, you're already dead. So there's a lot of that.
100% right there, dude. You're underwater. I mean, it's. I mean, if they could figure out that, it would increase the gameplay
90%. Yeah. I think that would be the biggest increase they could do is the fluidity of the movement. But
fluidity, boy, you might want to patent that word. I don't even know if that's a real word, but damn, I like
that
it.
Word. That sounds like that's a good word. Fluidity. That'll be remind me. We'll title this one "The Fluidity of World War Z."
We gonna write that shit down. Fluidity. I can't even spell it.
Oh, we'll come up with a spelling. So, but on that point, so true. So on that point, the fluidity and the movement speed is a critical aspect that if they could knock that down, playing it wouldn't feel burdensome, because the maps are tight. They're not huge. It seems that there's only 3 or 4. I played at least 20 different games in multiplayer, and I tried a couple of the different modes. And I know Joe and I played about 10 today alone. And
yeah, we only had 2 maps today. We had the like the garden area where there was like a little garden out front there where you like a little maze, and then
there was the train station.
We had 3 actually. I'm
3
sorry,
maps,
we had 3.
yeah, because the mall
and the garden, and then they had the library or subway or whatever it was.
Yeah. So we played 3 maps, but I know that I think there's one more. I could be wrong. And I personally have tried out, I think, 7 different game modes throughout. But part of the problem with testing and stuff, so there's going to be a little bit more. We're going to have to play a little bit more. But this is more of a multiplayer review because Joe and I have not played the co-op together. But on the multiplayer aspect, I would have to say at this point, hold off. And the reason I say hold off, if you're getting this game from multiplayer only, is the balancing aspect is so terrible at this point. There's something about it. There's 8 to 10. How many classes are there? Let me look it up while you talk a little bit about this multiplayer.
Man, I'm just gonna throw out a number, and I'm pretty sure it's close to 10 or 12. But it's like 0 to 10. I mean, you could have a gun that literally, like a shotgun, for instance. I was running around with a shotgun on one of them, just a regular shotgun. It wasn't the combat shotgun. But, I was behind somebody. They didn't know I was there. Shot them 3 times in the back. They turned around and just mowed me down with a submachine gun. That's ridiculous. If you go play any other Call of Duty or Battlefield, shotguns are always overpowered and it pisses people off. You know what I mean? So hell, maybe they took that and say, you know what, we won't make the shotgun so overpowered. Maybe people will like that. But you could have the shotgun not do anything, but then a pistol will tear you down in 3 or 4 shots. Or I was using a submachine gun that was 3-round burst, and I would pull this trigger 6 times on somebody and it wouldn't kill them. They have rocket launchers, which I didn't even hit the guy. I was probably 5 feet from him, and it killed him.
To get the rocket launcher, though, wasn't that a special, or was that? I haven't played that class. Yeah, so like the more you, I don't know if it's the duration you play or if it's only tied to the things you pick up, but there's like, there's mats on the ground that you can run over.
I know there is a special weapon display on the ground, and if you run over it, you can get your special weapon. But I'm not sure if it's off of like points or time. I'm not real sure.
It might be a little bit of both, and you can speed that up by running over these like materials on the ground. And I think there's also a lot to be desired there because the balancing on that is also terrible in the sense that like one person has a fucking rocket launcher that could take out 10 people and the other person gets a claymore, one claymore that you have to build up to get to. And the way that the game, at least in multiplayer, again, this is just a multiplayer aspect here, but in a multiplayer world like Call of Duty, you're dying every 10 seconds. Unless you're camping. And in this game, there's even more entry points to almost every spot. So there's no place to hide.
One thing I did notice and I did like was from the 10 games that we played, there is not one place that you can actually run into and be safe.
Yeah. Like you can go to the corner of a room and know that there's nothing behind you, but there's no angle that you can look to have a full angle, at least that I found, to have a full angle of everything that could come at you. Because also, while you're playing in the middle of a multiplayer match, say 4-on-4 or 6-on-6, and it's just like a domination or a team deathmatch. We played both of those today. Just like if you're playing Call of Duty or some of these other games where, it's 4-on-4, 6-on-6, and you're just trying to capture the point or whatever, and then all of a sudden you've all made too much noise on the map. I don't know if this is also a timed thing or based off of the amount of gunfire or anything. It'd be cool if it was actually based off of like the noise that's generated, but an alert comes up, it says critical noise level, and then the zombie horde comes in. And I love this aspect for this game. This is what keeps drawing me back to want to play it, because not only does it look phenomenal, I mean, it looks really, really good from the zombie aspect. They're coming at you. You can't tell who's a zombie, who's a teammate, and who's an enemy because it's just chaos. When you're in the middle of a clusterfuck of zombies, you could be in a stairwell and they could be pouring at you by like 50 coming from down the stairs and 50 coming up the stairs, and you just get mauled. And Joe and I mean, Joe became the zombie killer like immediately. Every round we had, you had at least 40 or 50 zombie kills, whereas like the next person had 20 or 30.
See, I wish that was something they would incorporate, though. Like, I mean, obviously the zombie horde is a big part of the game. Like, that's there for a reason. But I feel like you don't get, I think you get 5 experience points or something like that, or 5 points per zombie you kill.
But then you can rack up, you get additional points if you get kills without getting hit as well. There's like meters for that.
That's just they would incorporate something in it. Like, so for every 10 kills you get, or every 10 zombies you kill, you get, whatever,
your special weapon,
or grenades, or something that make killing the zombies more beneficial than just doing it because I thought it was cool.
Another point too, killing the zombies gets you XP, but Joe and I were playing, right? I'm level 8, he's level 2, and our teammates were like level 16 and 5. And our enemies, our opponents, were level 115, 108, 86, and 75. Yeah. Okay.
So unbalanced, man.
Like, we were doing all right, and the game isn't difficult. It's not difficult to pick up. It's just, I guess, understanding the classes. But there's not enough time to really utilize the 12 different classes that they have, in my opinion.
Well, the thing, too, though, when you're talking about those levels, what you got to realize is, in Call of Duty, like if you go play Blackout, you can be a level 80 or a level 0, and you're on the same playing field, right?
Yep.
All you're doing is picking up weapons, you're running, you're gunning. Now, in World War Z, a level 0 or let's say a level 1 and a level 80 is astronomically different.
Yeah, because all the guns and unlocks.
The more you can level up your guns, you can level up your character. So the more you play, the more stuff you get. And that's one thing that's kind of it needs to be more balanced. Like if you have 3 people that join the lobby and they're 100 level or 100 each, they shouldn't be on the same team because you're not going to beat them. Yeah,
and that's what it's terrible to get into a game like this where progress is unlocking. And you're in it makes it very hard. The game's been out a week. We're going against level 115 or whatever. Like,
that one guy was 205, remember? Like, holy shit.
It just feels like, part of me, it's funny because I talk to Jed a lot about these types of games, and he likes to be, he's like, I want to play a game where I can become a god. Like, for example, one of these like MMORPGs, like Neverwinter or whatever, right? They all have level caps because once you get into these battles and you're battling against everybody else, they want it to be fair. They do that on purpose. But there was games in the past like EverQuest and certain games where there was no level cap, and some players would become friggin' undefeatable. If you put enough time into it, that's fair, I think, right? In games like that. But when you're just like a run and gun and shooter, it shouldn't be,
there shouldn't be a
level 200 versus a level.
Yeah, I mean, there shouldn't be a level up system in an online multiplayer shooter game.
And I think that's one of the things.
All you're going to do is deter new people to play. Because I mean, if you put that, like we're putting it out there right now, like I'm not trying to tell people to go buy this game right now because I don't feel that's worth buying until they fix some stuff. But if people know that a level 1 can be in a lobby with a level 200, it's going to be really hard to beat that person.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. I mean, in a week, if you can get to level 200, unless they've been playing longer than that, but if you can get to level 200 in a week and you've dedicated that much time, there should be different brackets or something. Or, but like it was 2-on-4, and it was me and Joe versus 4 people who were all over level 80. So it's just, there's no balancing that I could see in the multiplayer aspect. And on top of all that, the unlocks are significant. It's not like, you've unlocked a new outfit. Like Joe was just saying, the unlocks are upgrading your weapons and stuff. Like if you're playing Call of Duty, imagine if you had to get to level 40 to be able to have quick reflexes, to be able to lift your gun up faster. And you don't get that until level 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever. Like that's what this game is about in that sense, in the multiplayer. Now, I like the idea because it makes you want to play more, but when I think we've been I think this is the benefit of a battle royale. I think this is one of the reasons a lot of people get drawn to the battle royale and you don't even realize it, is the level playing field. It doesn't matter if it's my son Wesley or Ninja and they drop. If Wesley lands, picks up a rocket launcher and turns and shoots Ninja, he could end him. But Ninja's skills will prevail in the more long-term duration. But everyone starts with the same thing. In this game, we're going against people who have everything unlocked, and you can't even change your class because you picked the wrong thing. I mean, that's the other, there's no changing the class in the middle of it. Like in Battlefield, you can pick up the gun of the person you downed and change your class that way. Call of Duty, you can swap it out in the middle of the round. But in this, it's like you pick the wrong thing, and in the selection screen, you can't even go backwards. So say you pick...
hang on. Speaking of selection screen, though, you got to do this. See, I didn't know this for the first game. That's why I was getting pissed. So you select your character, which, in my opinion, does nothing, right? When you select your character, it's just like selecting your character in Blackout. It doesn't do anything for you.
It's visual, all visual.
It's just a visual thing. That's all. Good night, buddy. Love you too. But I thought selecting your character was that weapon class, right? So I select my character the first game. I went to the weapons class screen, and I thought you just had to hover over, right? Because I wasn't reading. But you have to select who you want to select. But like you were saying, as soon as you select that person, that's it. There is no backing out. There is no, and that's something I don't like. And then also, I don't know if you mentioned it, but in the game, if you're playing with a character and you don't like them, there's no backing out of that either. So you're playing this whole level or this whole game mode with someone you don't like.
Yeah, and the guns are so unbalanced, like Joe was saying, that you can fire 40 rounds from a submachine gun into somebody and doesn't even touch them. It's like BB gun. But then the guy with the assault rifle is like tap 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 tap, done.
Oh yeah.
And obviously
the shotgun versus the combat shotgun is night and day. The power, I wouldn't say the power, but the damage ratio between those two guns. I mean, I got 2-shotted from behind easily. And then I pulled up 3 or 4 times on somebody from behind with the regular shotgun and nothing. They just turned on me, which I don't know how the hell they turned on me because this game turns on like you're in mud, but they did.
Now, because of the slowness of the movement, one of the things I don't like is the your name highlights and your health meter highlights to the enemy pretty easily through bushes or whatever. And so you can tell if an enemy is like in the building across the way if you just kind of get your crosshairs close enough to them. And so we're playing on the PS4. I don't know if this is different on the computer and the Xbox, but that's a significant thing too because of how slow it takes to turn around. The fact that there's nowhere you can turn to be hidden. And if someone's got a beeline on you or visible, they might not know you're there, but their crosshairs are telling you that they're there, and they don't have to hit a button or anything. It's just like, so, hey, there's a guy over there in the train. Like, I can see him.
Well, another thing I don't like about either is the fact that, let's say there's 3 enemies, and they're kind of spread out, and then your crosshair shows up, and you have zero, little to no health. They're going to call that out, like we did. He's 1 or 2 shot down, and they're going to just rush towards that enemy, and he's going to get bombarded. So that's one thing too that I don't. Maybe they're going to come out with a hardcore mode though. Yeah. And in the hardcore mode, you'll lose your mini map on the left, and you'll lose the the names and all that stuff.
So one other
I mean,
thing.
in hardcore mode, though, don't get me wrong, this game would catch my attention a little more.
I agree.
I could possibly deal with a sluggish movement. However, if they were to throw a hardcore mode in and treat it like a hardcore multiplayer, like Call of Duty, I could probably play with that. It'd be fun. I mean, the game is fun. The zombies aspect of it is really cool.
Yeah, I think part of the reason that they keep the sluggish movement.
That freaking machete. That machete's badass.
That is badass. And you can like kick the zombies and stuff if you get a good combo. But to your point on the sluggish movement, I think their interpretation and their reasoning for it, there's got to be a reason for it, is probably because they wanted a more stealthy environment. The environments are smaller. It's not supposed to be a run and gun, but
it's supposed to be quiet. You're not supposed to make so much noise. That's one thing.
But like,
so
there's no instruction. One of the notes I took is going into the game. Before I even knew, all I knew was that I'd seen some trailers about the co-op version of the game, but there's no instruction, right? There's no introduction, nothing like that. You load up the game and you get the menu, and it just says co-op or multiplayer. When you put your mouse or your selector over co-op or multiplayer, there's no menu that pops up that says co-op is a game mode of 4 people that are, playing a progression style. Nothing, right? So then you have multiplayer. And it doesn't say multiplayer is a team-based, earn points to... There's no instruction. So you go into the co-op or the multiplayer. Now, in hindsight, after you do it once or twice, you don't need that instruction. But when I was firing it up, I was thinking co-op was 2-person in the same room, like couch co-op or whatever. And then multiplayer was... I didn't realize there was a whole multiplayer-based system in this game, similar to Call of Duty or something. So when I went into the multiplayer, I was surprised. And then there's no instructions there either. You just have 12 different classes to choose from. You can kind of look at your class. There's a lot of cool visuals, and graphically it looks good. But you look through the classes, they don't really tell you much. You can see this guy gets a one grenade and an assault rifle and a C4. This person gets a sniper rifle and a handgun. Like that, you just kind of see what the classes do. And then you go into your choice of mode. There's no description of what the mode is. You have Horde Team Deathmatch and Horde Domination. You can assume that you know what that is. But, I mean, you're playing a zombie game. You know what a zombie horde is. So I'm not getting them on them on that. But, like, there's just no instruction at all. And so with those instructions being out the door, you're kind of left to just jump in and figure it out for yourself. But if it was 4 different classes like Call of Duty or Battlefield, but we're talking 12 different classes and they're all significantly different. I would like a tutorial or something that would explain to me how to use the different classes or what would be a benefit in these tight maps for a sniper as opposed to, a submachine gun.
There's nowhere to snipe from in this game. The maps are terribly too small for you to go set up somewhere and snipe.
And Joe, with that lack of instruction, there's no one telling you you're supposed to take this slow. You're supposed to, work together. It's just everyone just lands and runs, right? That's what the teams that were kicking our ass were obviously coordinating and working together, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
And when you and I were back to back, we were kicking ass. We were killing people. People couldn't run up on us when we were like finding each other. But then the zombie hordes get in the way. And so we've talked a lot of trash in the sense of the things we don't like, but I do want to just wrap this up with some things that we both agree are really strong. And my favorite aspect is the true threat of the zombie horde, because even though one single zombie is super easy, when they come at you, and if you're the one they choose, it's nuts.
Yeah. Well, one thing I like about the zombies though is if you're off to the side, you can just hang out. And I did that because I got killed by a guy and I respawned in the middle of the horde, but I was behind a bus and they were all running past me. So I was like, oh, this is cool. But I ended up shooting at them anyway. And then like 50 of them turned on me and they all checked. You know what I mean? That was pretty cool. And
you're supposed to be able to utilize the horde to, draw attention if you need to. So for example, if you know some bad guys are over there and you see that there's zombies that are tucked in a room, because at the beginning of the map, they're just hanging out in certain areas. you could walk into the wrong room and be mauled. So you could shoot one in the head and cause the attention of them to stir. They might come out and attack your enemies. So you're supposed to be able to do that. And Joe, just one point, I don't know if you noticed it or if it gotcha, but sometimes when you're hanging off to the side, the zombies start coming through the walls right where you're at.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so one time I was standing there like thinking I'm safe, and all of a sudden I turn around and like it's not an area you can go through, but the zombies start breaking the boards and come pouring out the walls or under a door, and so that's brought into it as well. There's sometimes you're safe and sometimes you're not safe, and that's the aspect I really like. It gives a different feel to a game that has had a pretty static feeling, a domination type game mode. No matter what game you play, you know what you're getting. But with this, it adds an element that I have been desiring ever since zombie games have come out. And I'm a big fan of zombie games. I'll be reviewing Days Gone pretty soon here, probably later than most people. But at the same time, just like this, we're going to dive deep and talk about it. This is just the multiplayer review. We're going to jump onto the co-op campaign, which I'll set that up real quick. It's real simple. In co-op, if you ever played Left 4 Dead or games like that, it is similar to that. 4 people, you got a lot of zombies, a lot of times huge waves of zombies, and you've got to progress through, say, a mall, different tiers. You need to stick together because if one of your teammates starts running ahead, he can draw the zombies and you're all dead. So if without Joe, I have not been able to talk to anybody in this game. And I have no idea if they just did not implement multiplayer chat or if no one has mics that are playing. But I played, like I said, 20 games of multiplayer. I played a good hour and a half of co-op, and nobody in the co-op had a mic. And it blew my mind. And I don't know if that's just how the game is built.
Happening a lot though, man. I mean, but the new games that's coming out, it's been happening quite a bit. Even in Blackout, people have been griping about going into a lobby and playing, random duos or squads, and everyone's like, dude, no one has mics on. And that's to the point to where me, for instance, my son's 7, when he goes and plays Fortnite, I don't let him join lobbies. He makes his own party so no one can join him, and it's just him in his own chat party. And I don't want him listening to people and all that stuff. But like I said, there's a lot more kids now playing these games, and it's probably all the parents have the same idea of like, no, you're not gonna listen to the trash talk and all that stuff. But it could be the same.
You might
thing
be
as,
telling the truth on that one.
like me and you get on there, and it's just me and you in a quad. You know what I mean? We've done that before.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. I just wish that these games did a better job of implementing that, because I understand with the kids and integrating that. But also these companies like Sony and Xbox need to do a better job of balancing the accounts. For example, you have to put your birth date out there when you create these accounts. So they should allow birth date of 4 years old. Like go create an account for your kid. And I'm not saying every game should do this, but if they had the data linked right to the account, someone like Fortnite could balance the game based off of age and things like that. Now, I don't know if there's any legal aspect of that stops them from being able to do that, but that would be a revolutionary thing.
Badass, though, if they had a Fortnite or like a Fortnite where it'd be like you could only, off of birthdays, 6 to 8 year olds can only play together. That would be badass, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and if it was based off of the account, not just like your PlayStation account, not just. But see, here's the problem with that is that anybody could go make an account, say that they're young, and just tear the shit up out of kids. But at the same time, if there was these companies are making hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. I feel like there could be a better. And we talked about this 8 years ago when the PlayStation 4 was being discussed. And it was like, what could they do differently? And I remember playing the Xbox and just being so hell-bent on hating playing games like Call of Duty for the fact that it was, oh, your mom's a whore. It was just so terrible. It was a toxic nature, and it hasn't changed. I do think that it's a different type of toxicity these days. Either they're gone entirely, or these kids are just, it's so weird, especially on Fortnite where, the toxicity doesn't even take a form of like, you can't even rate it. You can't be like, oh, he's pretty good at being toxic. It's just like the second you get into a game, you have like a 8-year-old kid who's like, I fucking hate you and you fucking suck. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we're a team. So
Yeah.
should I just back out, or are you going to try to play? I have no idea what the hell to do. Like, are they just being an asshole? Are they going to pick me up when I'm down? And if they could figure that out, but then again, that's the internet, right? That's the whole internet. If websites could figure out how to filter that type of behavior out, you'd have $1 trillion idea. So I think if things were more public, a lot of people hate that. A lot of people hate the idea, but especially with having kids, this is probably a lot longer conversation. But I mean, I think the more transparency on who people are on the internet would reduce the level of toxicity on the internet.
Yeah, I agree with you. We'll wrap that World War Z up though. I would say, like Kevin said earlier, hold off on it.
Yeah, if it's
give it
multiplayer.
Yeah. I'm sure they're gonna come out with some updates, man.
To go on that, Joe, if you remember at the beginning of this, so the other day I was about to wrap up my review on it because I had played both the co-op and the multiplayer, but I reached out to the company Saber Interactive and asked them, I need to be able to review this properly because there's some things I don't like about the multiplayer, the ability to coordinate, and this game is so important with that. So there was also a lot of defects. The game crashed a lot. Now, it did crash on Joe today, and we need to call that out because they just put a patch out the other day saying that they fixed all the crashes on PlayStation 4, and now they're working on the crashes for Xbox and PC. If you're going to pick this game up for Xbox or PC, hold off until you find out that they fixed the crashes. But also, note that they're not done entirely. Joe got a crash today in the middle of a game. That's been a problem for this game, World War Z. So hopefully they figure that out and clean it up. Hopefully they update some things like the maneuverability and things, and at least in multiplayer, to adhere to the style of game that most people are trying to play. They might want us to play it slow and steady. That's not what people are doing. So
no, you can't play that game slow and steady. Man, you got fucking zombies by the thousands chasing after you. You need to be able to move and grab and run and climb on stuff.
Yeah, so next week, hopefully we'll have a little bit more detailed review on the co-op aspect, and we'll be able to give you a final assessment. But I think right now, the honest assessment, there's plenty of games out there. Pass on this one for now. If it dips in price, probably pick it up. It's decent as long as you're aware of the warnings and things and the signs. But the concept is awesome, so I would say keep it on your mind.
All right, I agree with that. We're running a little longer than I think we expected on the World War Z.
But that's okay.
I'm gonna skip the Crew 2 for now. I'll talk about it next podcast. I'm still playing it. Plenty of time to play that one. I do want to talk about Borderlands 3 real quick. They came out last week.
What's this news? Because I didn't get to see, Joe. I didn't get to see the video. What was this? What was the
So they don't get me wrong. I can't remember where they were, but Randy and them brought the game out again on stage, and there was, I think, 220 people there. They went worldwide with it, and they showed actual multiplayer gameplay. And they had two developers sitting there. They were playing the game for the first time. Randy, he was like, "Oh, go pick up this weapon or check out this weapon." If you've played any of the Borderlands, each weapon has, when you hover over it, it has like a little diagram of what it is. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to read on 1 and 2. Borderlands 3, the diagram's much bigger. The colors are, I'm not gonna say bright, but they're like super easy to read now. Like they're like solid font instead of that crazy font that was on the other two games. It tells you everything about the weapon. One thing that I like about this game is there's the loot system. So you can choose to play Borderlands 3 Classic, which is just like 1 and 2, where you can get 2 people up to 4 people playing in a game. You go beat a boss, the boss drops all the loot, and it's a free-for-all. You know what I mean? So like if there's one orange weapon, the first person to it gets it, or if you guys predetermine. Yeah, so like if you predetermine like, hey, this.
Okay.
What's that?
I see. I that's awesome.
So in Borderlands 1 and 2, it was a free-for-all for loot. Whenever you beat a boss, you had to be the one to
Yeah.
determine, hey, this is the time I'm getting the orange weapon, or vice versa. Well, in Borderlands 3, you can play Classic, where I can't remember the name of it, but each individual player has their own loot drop for them. So if me and you're playing, Kevin, and we open up a chest, and let's say you open a chest up, and it has an orange weapon in it for you, when that chest opens, I might not necessarily get an orange weapon. So everybody's loot is different, and it's based for them.
I love the fact that you can choose those two different methods of gameplay. That is
hell yeah, man.
fucking
Now, me and Adam,
huge.
if you get it, we'll definitely play that way, because it sucks having a great weapon drop and then only one of us can use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I love the fact that they give the ability for the other way for people who do desire that method. Like, I'm gonna, make it a
Here's
little
the
bit
catch, though,
harder.
for Classic. This is where it gets a little bit, I wouldn't say aggravating, but tough. So if you play Classic mode, it's the exact same way as it was with 1 and 2. When you play the other way, the loot comes into effect, and also there's no power leveling in this mode. So if you're a level 10 and I'm a level 25 and I join your game, you're going to fight level 10 monsters, and on my screen they're level 25 monsters.
Interesting.
But,
Now,
but we're fighting the same monster. So somehow they have figured out how to balance out that damage ratio and aspect of it, and it works because, man, it was badass.
Hey, it's just math. It's just math, man. That makes it easier for the progression and stuff too, because if you're trying to help somebody out and you're not going to get XP for that, I think that's great. It
you can still
encourages
go back
it.
and help out somebody that's brand new and they're fighting level 5 mobs. Well, if you're level 30, they're level 30, so you're still getting XP based on the guys you're killing, which is perfect. And then, like I said, the loot drop's amazing. Another cool thing was, I don't know what character it was or what weapon it was, but there's a homing dart that one of the players throws out, and if it hits the target, or if it gets close to that target, every shot you fire from your gun after that goes directly towards that homing beacon. So if you hit an enemy with it and you got whatever weapon it is has like 15 shots in it, all 15 shots will hit that enemy.
Hey, I got a question on the last thing you were just talking about. And so if you choose to play Classic and then you get to level 10, is just like Borderlands is now, can you start at, like get out of that game mode and then go out, change it to the new loot system? And then
no one asked that question. I haven't really read anything about it yet. I would imagine you could, just for the fact that if you're playing, let's say you're playing Classic on solo, and then you want to join your buddies, and his game is the other mode, I don't think it would affect the game any. But they never actually said in the actual venue about any of that stuff.
Yeah, I hope that's the case, that you can swap, because they've done a really good job of that, in that sense of being able to go in and out. So I'm reading here that there's destructible cover, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, shit, I forgot to tell you about that part too. So, like, if a guy's hiding behind a barrel, you can melee the barrel now, and not like a flammable barrel. You can melee or hit that barrel, and it kicks it across the map towards the enemy, and you can shoot that barrel and blow it up.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then if they're hiding behind a wall, like you were saying, like a fence or a metal structure, you can shoot that metal structure, and it starts to break away.
So I'm also reading that there's going to be emotes. I'm wondering if, when Apex Legends came out, a lot of people compared Apex to a Borderlands Battle Royale style. And in addition to that, there was a character released not too long ago in Apex, a champion they call him, who literally is just a straight ripoff from a Borderlands character. And it always made me, I love the Battle Royale aspect, and I always said, man, I wish Borderlands came out with a Battle Royale, because the reason I like that is the sheer amount of guns and the variation of guns in all the other Borderlands games is so high that would add such a complexity and such an awesome aspect of, you could open up a chest and have a shitty gray gun, or this ridiculous like you were just talking about, homing missile turret system based rocket launcher thing that could kill everybody, and it's all random generated. And I think that would be a lot of fun to play. Hopefully that's something that they're working on, but And then again, a lot of people say, "Oh, don't leave the battle royales to battle royales." So I'll be fine if they don't do that.
It would be terrible if they brought Borderlands battle royale. I'd be so pissed.
No, man, it'd be good. The battle royale is a fun aspect.
I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it at all.
So I know we're
Borderlands out of it. I like the way it is.
True. Fair enough. So we have plenty to talk about, but I think we should start to wrap it up here because again, like last week, it's Sunday night.
Game of Thrones.
Now, I wanted to put out some stuff about Game of Thrones on the YouTube channel that we're putting out, but I've been putting a lot of work into the YouTube stuff. If you haven't checked it out, go to youtube.com/thebacklogpod. But one of the things we've been working on real heavy is the branding. As you know, last week we changed the name of the podcast to the Backlog Podcast. It's no longer the Backlog Exposed. And since then, we've been able to secure all the social media sites that we need with the term the Backlog Pod. So if you want to find us on Anchor or Instagram or Twitter or now YouTube, it's at the Backlog Pod. And also if you go to thebacklogpod.com, it'll bring you to our website. The website still shows thebacklogexposed.com up top, but all you need is there. The website will play the latest episode. You can also get to the previous episodes on the website. We're basically putting this out there for everybody, every direction we can. YouTube has all of our episodes. Your favorite podcast program has all of our episodes. And with all of that, we're putting together the YouTube stuff that's going to be an addition to what we're already doing here. Now, if you've been to Joe's YouTube page, Team Emar Gaming, you'll see he's putting out content left and right. Just posted a hilarious video today. And on top of that, he's got over 50 subs now on his Twitch. So if you haven't gone over to Team Emar Gaming on Twitch, please do so because he's starting to ramp up his content. And really what we've been doing for the past year has been leading up to this brand and this thing that we've been putting together. We've been talking about it for so long, but just like a backlog, our day-to-day is so busy that it takes a lot longer for us to just jump in and get shit done. We have full-time jobs, we've moved, surgeries, this, that, the other. Joe's breaking his back. I mean, we just got so many things to do, but I'm telling you right now, we're days, not weeks. We're days away from the official launch of the YouTube stuff, the official Team Emar Gaming Twitch streams, the official Backlog Exposed, the Backlog Podcast Twitch streams, things like that. We're putting it all together, and the content that we're going to start producing is going to be worthwhile to watch and rewatch. And with all of that being said, we're also partnering. We're trying to collaborate. I don't want to use the term partner, but we're collaborating. And you've heard on the podcast before, we had Alex from Play PSVR. And I'm going to try to get him back on, or Adam and Alex. They're one of the best PSVR podcasts you can listen to, so I definitely recommend you checking them out, playpsvr.com. And again, just like us, you can search for that and find them everywhere. They've started doing video versions of their podcast, but Joe, I want to throw this out there. We need to start doing our podcast live on Twitch so that people can watch us live, and then I'll put it together afterwards and still put it out there for the people who want to listen to it on audio.
That'd be too easy.
Yeah, and I think that
that would be great just for the fact that if we go live on Twitch, they can see us.
Yep.
We can talk about what we're talking about, and they can interrupt anything they want to talk about in the comments. Boom, we'll read the comments. Oh, yeah, that game, I've played it. Boom, we'll go off of what they're talking about. What we're talking about doesn't have to really even come to the table. I mean, if we can have a little, a flow of what we're going to touch on or, talk about. As long as we get our reviews out of the way and stuff like that, everything else can change, determine on what the chat says. And so with that, we're 1 or 2 weeks away from that being possible. I still need to work with Joe a little bit and set some things up over on his end, but we're close. So I can't wait, dude. We need to do that soon. That'd be fun. Do a live Twitch podcast. That'd be great.
That's part of all this branding, because another thing we need to announce, Joe and I just secured a Fortnite creator code, and we're super excited about this.
Yeah,
we're super excited about this because
how crazy is that?
It's crazy, man. Seriously, it's super crazy because
Oh yeah, I'm down.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, hey, you might be telling the truth on that one.
No, the thing is, Joe, with this creator code, we're gonna be able to really focus on some. I know the Fortnite isn't for everybody these days, and Joe and I we don't play as much as we used to, but we have kids that do, and we love talking about it, whether we play it all the time or not. We played the hell out of it, so we are ready to get our due. We put a lot of time and effort into Fortnite. Now we're ready to sell ourselves to the devil.
Now that we have a creator code, I will jump back on and start doing some
streams.
Yeah, I will.
I mean, and that's the thing.
Doing my thing, being Joe.
I mean, seriously, because that's when you get out there.
Ah, shit.
When you get out there and you do that and people watch you and then you tell them your code, next thing you know, they're putting your name in there. So we're not releasing the name of the code yet because it's not the code name we want and we're not ready. So next week, hopefully, when we do all this other launching of stuff, we'll have that. I do want to point out, if you have not heard of igdb.com, it's the Internet Gaming Database. It's a very similar website to IMDb. And we've been in talks with the creator of that site. So a little bit of collaboration there, hopefully coming in the future. And hopefully we'll have them on the podcast, or he on the podcast, to talk about the inspiration behind that website and what he looks to do in the future. Because I think, as we talk about backlogs, a website like that is so perfect for maintaining and cataloging the backlog. So I really look forward to partnering with him to be able to do that. So all of that stuff out there. Joe, I wanted to ask one other thing based off of your Fluidity. And, as we talk about like favorite games and we talked about Borderlands, like where are you at these days?
I love Assassin's Creed because it's one of the best games ever, bro.
Oh, well,
yeah, right. Boo.
No, but so like we've been talking about like VR and stuff, like,
Dude, Beat Saber does look pretty fun though, I have to tell you.
No, it does. Well, I look forward to when you get the VR, and we can play some of that.
Hot cross buns. Dude, we can do a whole podcast of just my damn clip.
I've been spending some time, but for real, I need to throw this one out there.
What the fuck did I say? Hot cross buns.
I don't even know, man. It just. But here's a good one for us that we definitely need you to listen to.
Give us the rating on iTunes, please. Damn.
And I'm gonna finish it off with this.
Beedle-up, boom, boom. La-da-da-da, la-da-da-da. Beedle-up, boom, boom. La-da-da-da, la-da-da-da. Beedle-up, boom, boom. Doing my thing, being Joe.
Joel Rubel, Kevin Lane. Joel Rubel, Kevin Lane.
I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
Dude, that's the funniest shit. You need to put that in my folder for me, dude. That is funny as hell.
It's all going in there. I just had to surprise you.
Oh shit. Anyway, before we close up, I gotta talk about two things. Lucid Sound. Check out lucidsound.com. Use promo code TEAMEMAR. Save 20% on any headset purchase that you have. And we also got picked up as an affiliate for Evil Controllers. If you go to evilcontrollers.com, you can type in again Team EMAR as the promo code, and you'll save 10% on any controller that you create. So let me throw those two things out there. Other than that, man.
Well, no. Two things. Wait, I can't let you go with that. Evil Controllers. I've been using a Scuff for some time now, and I gotta tell you, don't just go straight for Scuff. I've been looking at the Evil Controllers, and I want to try them. I'm not going to say they're good or bad personally because I've never held one in my hand. But after you've used a Scuff and you've paid the money for a Scuff, it makes you want to try some of these other ones and see with the difference and the premium quality and whatnot. Evil Controllers looks pretty good, and the customization is pretty high. So definitely keep note of that, because when you're looking for, if you're going to be spending the money on a controller that's a little bit more customized for your needs, don't just go to Scuff. I have one, and I'm not saying it's bad. I love it, but at the same time, don't be pigeonholed into thinking that that's the only avenue. So
Evil controller, I went on there. I built one. I had one sent to me because that was part of the agreement through becoming an affiliate. I have one on the way, but you can pick every little detail about the controller. I mean, buttons, what color the buttons are, your paddles, what you want them to do, remapping, everything. I mean, you can get crazy, and the money is crazy when you start putting in every little detail of these controllers. But like I said, a lot of these big time gamers, I mean, that's what they want, you know.
But on that point, Scuff does the same thing, but it's so limited once you really get in there. I wanted, orange and blue, everything. But once I had it all built, the circles around the sticks were a different shade of orange. And the L2 and R2 buttons, they don't have orange for some reason on those. So I had to pick yellow because I was already, I love everything about it except for that. So there's certain things, but on Evil controllers, it's so much further than that. Like when I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, well, there's a lot more in there. Hopefully, the quality, after Joe gets it, he'll be able to talk a bit about it. But they start at $145. So yes, it's a very expensive thing, but you can add paddles on the back, and you can designate button combinations for those paddles and things. And that's where these elite gamers are really capable of doing it. We've talked about it. This isn't just a selling point. It's the facts. Your ring finger and your pinky finger play no part in a DS4, a DualShock 4, or an Xbox controller. But if you have buttons back there, now you have four extra extremities, like your 4 fingers, right? That you can now do things with that were doing nothing before. So they have up to 4 additional paddles that you can put on there. A lot of these controllers do. And, Collective Minds has a cheaper edition that you can put on there, and it has 1 paddle on both sides. These things are significant if you're truly serious about gaming and want to get an edge over people, because that's a significant factor. So what was that code again for the Evil? Is it Team EMAR?
Team EMAR.
Awesome.
Save 10% of your controller. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a pretty good discount, man. And I'm not gonna let you get away with without mentioning the chair, because you look pretty comfy over there, and I just want to have you say one thing about that.
So I'm still waiting on. I'm still working on the review for the chair, but Noble Chairs hooked me up with a gaming chair. It was the Noble Chair Hero Black. It's a very expensive chair. It's about $440. However, after actually using it for multiple hours, the chair is comfortable, man. If you're a true legit gamer, I can see why you would spend this kind of money, because it is comfortable. It puts your arms at ease. You're not leaned up, and you're not hunched over. You're not putting your elbows in your knees and all this stuff. I mean, you can put the elbows right there easy on the armrest button and play. That's how I've been playing the last week, which is very rare for me, because I usually play with them in my knees, and
that's what happened. That's how I got my elbow issues with the carpal tunnel and the cubital tunnel, is because I rest my elbows on my knees and hunch over. But so one of the things I'll say, and then we can finish this up, is that with the chairs, he's talking about the price, and I did the same thing. I pulled the trigger on a Secret Labs chair, an Omega, earlier this year. I think we talked about it on the podcast. And, it feels weird. I spent $100 on a chair. That's pretty easy to do on a rolling gaming chair. Not even a gaming chair, just an office chair. You can go to Walmart and get a $30 chair. That thing's going to fall apart in a couple of weeks. I started buying $100 chairs every year or two. And the chairs, I mean, I'm always on my computer. I'm on my computer more often than I'm at my couch. And so we pay thousands of dollars for a couch, but you're paying $100 for a chair, and that's where your posture and your back. And so if you really think about it, this isn't just like, hey, everyone go buy a $400 chair for gaming. It's really, if you spend most of your day working from your desk and your chair isn't comfortable, just like your bed, you got to get the right materials. And Noble Chairs, Joe's chair is a solid chair. It's not going to fall apart in a year. Things comfortable.
Yeah, man,
my Secret Labs is good.
It's well put together. The posture's good. It's got the lumbar system in the back. It comes with 2 pillows. I mean,
yeah. So
cushions. I mean, it's a very, very nice chair.
Yeah, there's a couple of companies out there right now pushing these chairs, and it doesn't seem like you can really go wrong. But at the same time, Noble Chairs is hitting this market. Joe, I don't know if do you have a code yet with them?
No, we're still working on it. They don't have an affiliate avenue. It's through Amazon, but
Okay.
I'm in the process right now of getting the legwork done through Amazon. But as soon as that comes into fruition, I'll let you know.
Yeah, because I mean, if we can get people a discount if they're looking for a chair, that'd be great. But again, it's something to look into. A lot of the people listening to this podcast are just lifelong gamers, and if you're a lifelong gamer and you're sitting in a fucking $30 chair, think again. Honestly, think about it, because as a 40-year-old, close to 40-year-old man, I'm over here going, man, my elbows, my wrists, my back, everything. But in the last couple of months since I got this chair, it is a little bit different. I can sit up straighter. It's a heavier chair. It's more durable. And Joe, your chair does not look light. So
No, this damn chair is heavy.
it's the difference between a chair and furniture. This is furniture with wheels.
This is furniture with wheels. You're exactly right.
So, all right. I don't know if we did talk about it, but today's Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo for all those who celebrate. And I'm having myself a nice couple of Bud Lights. I'm going to go watch Game of Thrones, and I'll probably do a video on YouTube. So check our YouTube out. I'm going to talk about where we're at with only 2 weeks to go and 10 years of life dedicated to such an amazing story. And Joe, anything else before we wrap it up?
That's it, man. Good episode. As always, we'll be back on here next week. Hey, you might be telling the truth on that one.
Yeah, seriously. All right, everybody. Hey, peace out. Thank you for listening. Episode 53 is in the books. Cinco de Mayo edition. And stay tuned, because in the next couple of days, not weeks, but days, we're kicking ass.
Yeah. La 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 la. La la la.
Yeah, yeah.
Beat it up, boom, boom.